Hello everyone, this is HammerTron here with a new action figure review for you. This time I am reviewing the Masters of the Universe Masterverse Skelegod based on the Revelation cartoon series, which I have not seen. I don't really plan to see it, but I do like the action figures. So here it is in a nice window box where we can see the action figure itself plus any accessories it comes with. We can also make sure it's the actual action figure and that it has not been swapped with something else. So I do prefer window boxes, and I think I'm not going to bother with any action figures that are in a box without a window. So anyway, here is the front. Here is the top of the box where it says Masterverse. Here is the bottom with some manufacturing information there. Here is one side where it says Skelegod. Here is the other side with a nice picture of Skelegod. Looks like it's a hand-drawn picture and not a photo of the action figure. Looks like the same picture back here plus a little mini biography about Skelegod. And here is the cross-sell, some of the other action figures that are available at the time that this came out. This came out in 2021. I found it in the store in 2021. So I will open this up and review the action figure itself in just a moment. Here are the accessories that come with the Skelegod action figure. This pair of hands were on the action figure in the package, so they're slightly open, kind of grasping, not quite grasping like it's going to hold something, but like it wants to grab something or just scratch at something. Nicely sculpted hands. It looks like the fingers are a bit armored and has a shinier color than the back of the hand, so perhaps the fingers have been painted and the back of the hand is molded in that purplish color plastic. It has some short pegs, relatively short little hinges here, a little bit ratcheted. Wasn't too hard to pull out. I was a little nervous about pulling them out, but as long as you're gentle, there shouldn't be too much of a problem. Pliable plastic here. Yeah, plastic. It's pliable, so the fingers bend quite a bit. Here's a pair of more gripping hands. Looks like the same painting, shiny your fingers and thumb. Flat plastic color for the back of the hand, short pegs, and same hinges. And these fingers are also pliable. And here is a sword. Looks like it's molded in a gray plastic with some shiny paint on the blade and on the handle. So it looks very nice. So we need to put this in one of the gripping hands. So it is pliable plastic, so we can put it in there. And it looks like it'll fit nicely. And it's not too hard to take out, but we want to be gentle. And then here is some sort of energy punching effect. It goes over the hand, and because the hands are pliable plastic, it'll hold it in place. So we can see the hand through the translucent plastic, and it can go farther in. So kind of a hard plastic in this part, but more pliable out here. So it looks interesting. Here is the Skelegod action figure. Let's see how tall this action figure is. A little hard to tell, either the top of the head there or on one of these shoulder pad spikes on the side. Looks like it's maybe 7 3/4 inches tall. maybe a little bit taller than that, but not quite 8 inches. So I'm just a bit disappointed. I was thinking this action figure would be maybe 8.5 or 9 inches tall, but nope, not even 8 inches. That's alright. Let's take a closer look at this action figure. So we do have some nice detail. Now maybe the head is a bit small, but considering it's a bony, monstrous head with some impressive ram horns on it, it's a monster character, so the head size is perfectly fine with this kind of action figure or this kind of character. But nicely sculpted. It has some pliable plastic here. All of that is kind of pliable. Very soft. The shoulder pads are very soft. Now apparently in the packaging this side got a little bit warped or packed the wrong way, so it got bent and warped, and I might be able to straighten it out if I use some hot water or blow dryer, but we'll see. It's a bit well, very soft and pliable. Seems to be an extra piece that's added, and there's part of the straps here, and it connects back here, so it's an extra piece that's attached, and this is where the cape is attached. This is a cloth cape, but it seems to have several levels or layers to it. A couple of layers. And what's interesting is it has a couple of these plastic diamond pieces here, so it might be part of the design element from the cartoon, which I have not seen and I'm not likely to see it. Could also be something they added to make sure that the cape hangs down and doesn't get bunched up anywhere. But there's a lot of detail on the outside of the cape here. And the inside is a bit different. Looks alright, although seems to be hanging a little bit more on this side than this side. Here's an interesting symbol on the chest and some muscle sculpted into the body there. We have some muscular arms and some sort of wrist bracers. Now these are separate pliable plastic pieces that slide on over the forearm, and when you pull out the hands, these pieces will fall off, so we can move them around. We could take them off entirely. Now I tried taking out the hands. I've done that a couple of times. These fingers are very pliable, so we want to be careful as we pull it out, but because it's so pliable, it's a little hard to push back in, and I keep bending the fingers, and I'm afraid eventually all that bending is going to break the fingers. So I'm not really a fan of pulling out the hands or taking off the heads of action figures. I grew up with the old Star Wars action figures from the late 70s and throughout the 80s, and then G.I. Joe action figures. And we were perfectly fine with hands that were permanently in weapon gripping poses. But I do see the appeal of some different kinds of hands if we really want them, different poses for different situations in a display or diorama. Here's kind of a belt piece with kind of a loincloth and some armor. It's all pliable plastic. It looks like it's designed to allow movement in the legs, although depending on how much we move the legs, I think eventually something is going to tear. This is a soft pliable plastic, so if we bend it too much or too far, something is going to tear, which would be a shame. We have some muscular legs here. Looks like some nice sculpting work there. And then we have some calves. Now down here looks like another extra piece of armor, some pliable plastic that has been put on over the lower legs or the calves here. Looks like some nice designs here. Looks like kind of a skull head. So it is a bit pliable, although it does seem to be a little bit harder than this part. Maybe it only seems harder because there's less, or it fits more tightly. Here it's kind of loose and it moves around. These don't seem loose. Then we have some clawed feet here. Seems kind of long. And we have peg holes on the bottom. And they've sculpted the bottoms of the feet here, so they put in a lot of work. Although they missed some opportunities for more paint. They did put some painting on other parts here, so it's nice. So they still have some details on the back here. So it certainly looks nice. However, with the combination of some harder plastic and more pliable plastic, and the way we remove the hands and have to move the joints around, I think eventually there are going to be some kinds of problems. Another interesting feature seems to be, looks like somewhat translucent plastic up here. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't think there's any light up features. The packaging didn't say anything about that, and I don't feel any buttons anywhere. So, kind of interesting. Maybe they were planning on a more light up feature and they just didn't include that in this action figure. Or maybe future action figures will have a light up feature in it. So we'll just have to wait and see. So let's take a look at the articulation. The head can move up a little bit. We can move down a little bit. Turn side to side. A little bit of tilting. The arms can move out. It's hindered by the shoulder pads here. You could probably move farther out. And we can move around. Limited by the shoulder pads, but seems to be okay. There are no butterfly joints here. We have bicep cuts. And double jointed elbows. Now this is as straight as I can get these arms. So they're permanently bent. They do have pinless joints, but still we can't get them any straighter than that. We can bend in this much. It looks like just barely 90 degrees. Well, this side a little more than 90 degrees, so that's nice. And wrist joints, all of them can turn, and they all have hinges, limited by these wrist bracers. Kind of gets in the way of some of the articulation. We have a diaphragm cut. We can crunch forward a little bit, move back more. We can go side to side and around. Not too bad. Not very much, but at least it moves a little bit. Waist cut. And I think we can do some splits. This pliable plastic is moving, but eventually I'm afraid it is going to tear. So actually pretty good splits there. I could probably go a little further. And we can kick forward. Well, not too bad. Kick back a little bit. Yeah, I think eventually this thing is going to tear, so I don't want to do that too often. Kick back just a little bit. We do have upper thigh cuts. moves just a little bit, not very much on this side. This moves better on this side. We have double jointed knees. Not too bad. A bit stiff, but I'm afraid these joints are going to loosen up too much over time. I don't think there's a boot cut. I haven't noticed one. Could turn, but maybe it's just this part that's turning, so I don't think I need boot cuts anyway. And then the ankles move down. They move up. And we do have pivot. Now what I've noticed is it looks like the ankle joints are pretty weak, especially this one, because shortly after taking this out of the package and playing around with it a little bit, it became a little more difficult to make sure this action figure can stand, because it wants to topple forward because of that ankle joint. So far the joints seem to be working pretty well, but they are getting loose pretty fast. So I'm a little disappointed about that, and they're getting weak. Also, these arms cannot straighten out all the way, but that's not the end of the world. So let's see, can I get him standing again? There, I have to hold the, have to move the foot out a little bit to make sure Skelegod stays balanced. But there we go. Here's Skelegod next to the Fortnite Rust Lord action figure, 4 inches by Jazzwares, and next to the 4-inch action figure from the Animal Planet set. And Skelegod is much larger than either one of them. He would make a great monster in a diorama with much smaller action figures like these. Here Skelegod is a terrifying monster that'll strike fear into the hearts of all the 4-inch action figures. I think this is a great monster for dioramas or displays. Makes a great monster at this scale for 4-inch action figures. So I don't think any of these other little action figures stand a chance against Skelegod. Here is Skelegod next to the Marvel Legends Mr. Fantastic 6-inch action figure by Hasbro, and the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin White Ranger 6-inch action figure by Hasbro. Here is Skelegod in a battle pose against the Mighty Morphin White Ranger. I just don't think the Power Rangers stand a chance against Skelegod. Here is Skelegod next to the Fortnite Legendary Series Havoc action figures, 6 inches by Jazzwares, and next to the Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man action figure by Mattel, and that one is 7 inches, or just a little over 7 inches. Skelegod is about 8 inches, or a little less than 8 inches, so it certainly does look larger than He-Man, but not quite large enough. I expected it to be a little bit larger than that. Here is Skelegod next to the Marvel Select Colossus action figure by Diamond Select Toys. At the time of this video, this Colossus action figure is still the tallest action figure I have reviewed. So I was hoping Skelegod would be bigger than this one, but it's still bigger than most of the other action figures I have. The HammerTron Sledgehammer rating is okay. However, perhaps that rating is a bit too high. Perhaps it should, he should be more slumped down against the hammer, or lying flat on the ground next to the hammer, because I've only been playing around with this for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and Yeah, already the ankle joint, this one in particular, is getting pretty loose, and this action figure wants to fall over, and it's a bit annoying after such a short time right out of the package. It does look nice, and I wanted this action figure because I wanted a nice looking monstrous action figure for displays or dioramas for my heroic characters to be battling against. So based on the appearance alone, I think it's a wonderful action figure. I simply expect the joints to be working properly right out of the package, and I don't want them wearing out so quickly within the first half hour or so of playing around with it. The gimmick or feature of pulling out the hands and putting in new hands, it's an interesting gimmick. For the most part, it seems to be working. Nothing has broken for me so far, but the fingers are incredibly pliable, and I'm just worried that it's only a matter of time before something breaks. So I'll just have to be very, very careful. So it's okay for now. I hope I don't have to downgrade it very soon. So thank you for watching my review video. Remember to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my future reviews. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.